Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the music rating, ranking, and reviewing podcast of what to call Music Meltdown, featuring now somebody on two different channels. So that's interesting. Taavi's back after starting his own channel, Just Play It Loud, correct? He's got some fun stuff up there. Shit, what was your first one? I'm blanking. I feel terrible now. You had Mariah Carey, I know you have Queen's Right.
Uh,
Should be out by the
yeah,
time this goes up.
yeah. The Beach Boys was the
Ah,
first
yes, yes.
band that we did.
Nice. Be sure to check that out. Deep Focus as well. He does movie stuff
Yep.
too. Ooh. But no, we're going into his wheelhouse of this guy. If I had to guess, probably one of your favorite musicians in general, Lindsey Buckingham. As you will have seen by this point, I'm a Welsh fan, so I wasn't quite so familiar with the Buckingham solo career. However, I did know going into this Go Insane and thought it was interesting. The rest of this was all pretty new to me. I actually owned Out of the Cradle on CD though. I got that in that CD gifting that Patrick was selling, so I just picked that up because I figure I love Fleetwood Mac. Even if it's not Welch, it's still going to be pretty good. But yeah, Lindsey was definitely an interesting catalog. I'll say this now, I don't think that Lindsey has anything below good, but I also don't think he has like a top tier elite record in his solo catalog. So everything is going to be pretty much 3.5 or 4, but nothing wrong with that. So, Taavi, how are you feeling about Sir Buckingham?
Yeah. 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 I love Lindsey. It was definitely like I'm not exactly sure. Usually when I think of Lindsey, I usually kind of lump in the Fleetwood Mac stuff he's in, and perhaps Fleetwood Mac Lindsey songs are maybe his top tier songs are in the Fleetwood Mac catalog, if I'm being totally honest. But there's plenty of stuff I love in his solo career and just albums and songs. And yeah, and he's my favorite guitarist of all time. So
He's not number
definitely,
one for me, but there's a solid chance he's top 10. And if so, that would
yeah.
mean that I have three of the Fleetwood Mac guitarists in my top 10 guitar players. So, guess that goes to show how much I like Fleetwood Mac. That being said, the only notable exclusions from the catalog that we aren't including are Buckingham Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham, Christine McVie. Kind of wanted to exclude the duet, not really duets records, but sort of duo records. I think Buckingham Nicks is solid. I didn't finish Lindsey Buckingham, Christine McVie. Just wasn't feeling it for some reason. Eventually, I'll get back to it though. Um, I guess we're good to kick this off. I believe 7 records is what we're counting, 7 or 8. That being said, this is going to be interesting, as my least favorite Lindsey record is actually the debut, Law and Order. I feel like a lot of people would describe this as kind of comparable to Tusk. It's a lot of the Lindsey songs that he was kind of in the styles that he was working on off of Tusk, just expanded into one solo record of his work. He's going all over the place from like pop to new wave, bit of country, hints of blues at points on here. And the main thing holding it together is the playing. I always really enjoyed Lindsey Buckingham as a guitar player, but doing the solo career really highlights just how excellent he is. As even in Fleetwood Mac, I would say his playing is somewhat understated despite how good he is. And here he just lets it rip a lot of the time. That being said, though, with a lot of Lindsey's records, I think earlier on they were very hit or miss. But the hits on here are really solid. Trouble, I'll Tell You Now, September Song, and Love From Here, Love From There are all pretty good tracks. Like I said, it's still a decently enjoyable record. I have it at 3.5 stars. I just simply prefer other Lindsey records, so that's gonna be my bottom, Law and Order.
Yeah, definitely higher on my list. But maybe some can see my bottom coming because it's maybe not my usual style, but my bottom is Under the Skin from 2006. It's more acoustic one, and yeah, it's an album I've definitely had least time with. I did listen to them kind of in maybe 4 years or um, and all of them that were out then, not the newest one, but I just I feel like the variety is a little gone, even if there's definitely a different kind of style of acoustic songs, especially in the like a first half or more, and you get the more fast uh picked acoustic guitar songs and more mellow ones, and there's even a Rolling Stones cover here, and then suddenly it kind of felt like in the later half there was like a few songs with like they bring on drums and even some electric elements, and kind of changes the vibe, and I feel like this was a little too late for me. And but there's some great stuff here. One of my favorites is Castaway Dreams. This is a lovely chorus, and I do like some of the where Mick Fleetwood is playing the drums, like in Down on Rodeo. But um, I feel like I'm the this is the album I don't know if bored's the right word, but I'm slightly bored in the uh yeah, especially in this first half. But it's a good album still, and um yeah, but it's not definitely not my favorite. So 3.5 stars from Under the Skin.
Interesting. Interesting. We'll get to that considerably later. Next up for me, I have Go Insane. This one is a bit more grounded, with most of the album being at its core just a solid 80s pop affair. With I Want You, Go Insane, and Loving Cup being the best example of those type of songs, all of which are great. There is some weaker stuff on here. I don't really love the first part of Play in the Rain, and especially Bang the Drum hurt the record for me. I thought that song was pretty lousy for him. As well, this record in comparison to Law and Order, you're really getting that sort of it's 1984, you're getting that 80s to the max, like really just out there production, which I don't dislike it, but it's not necessarily my forte. It's still a good record, but like most early Buckingham records, I think that they're fairly flawed. It's 3.5 stars for me. Still a pretty good record, though. Go Insane.
Yeah, we have totally different lists, it seems like. I have the number 6 is the 2011 album, Seeds We Sow. Um, and with I'm gonna say with Lindsey, I don't personally think he really writes bad songs. Sometimes I feel more like I've heard this before, maybe multiple occasions, but um, and well, I guess why this is above um Under the Skin for me is I feel like there's quite a few acoustic type of songs here, but there's even more like electric guitar and drums and bigger even pop numbers, and I feel like the probably doesn't start very excitingly, but around the half is probably one of my closer to half, let's say, probably one of my favorite songs. Like I like that that's the way that love goes. And what are these songs like? There's some like even with the acoustic numbers, I feel like there was some like bigger choruses than in in Under the Skin, and I like that stuff. And there was one song. I want to say it's One Take. Um, it's almost as sort of. I feel like that is the song where Lindsey is almost like rapping, sort of. Not exactly rapping, but doing this sort of quick um, vocal thing. And it's not one of my favorites by him, but usually if even if Lindsey I'm like iffy about the song, he usually like puts on like a wild guitar solo to it, and I love that kind of stuff. And I'm not sure, I wasn't sure is the Stones cover, is it a bonus track or not? I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's pretty well made. And um I think it's one of these albums where I'm kind of like I like it when it's on, but I don't really remember as well as the other albums, and maybe that's why it's around the bottom. But so it's the same score as Under the Skin 3.5, but slightly above it still. So yeah, number 6.
Alrighty. Getting a bit of overlap here. My number 5 is going to be Seeds We Sow. And while I do think it is a step down from the two records earlier, I still think it's pretty solid. It's still in the more acoustic vein, and Lindsey's deeper vocals still work here a lot very well. The only real downside here is that the songs just simply aren't as consistent as the prior albums. The highs are still quite good, with my favorite of which being his Stones cover on Here She Smiled Sweetly, which I think is just a lovely song. All in all, though, it's just a fairly good record. There's not really much to add about it. I mean, most of the time, Lindsey is just pretty good. So 3.5 stars. It's a good record. There's just not much more to add. It's essentially, I can't say too much without spoiling how I feel about the two prior records. So that's where I'm at with it. 3.5 stars.
Yeah, nice to see some overlap. My number 5 is Gift of Screws from 2008. And I feel like I used to like this even more than nowadays, but there's still some great songs here. I feel like this is like especially after Under the Skin, back to rock, and this was earlier released by like there was some 90s bootleg, and some songs were there, which is in the YouTube. And personally, I don't think this album has the greatest opener with The Great Day. Uh, I like the guitar playing of it, but find it. Um, I don't find the vocal melody to be one of the best this album. And second song is Time versus Time, and I think I read that Lindsey got the musical idea of it from this Terrence Malick film, The New World, and which we have covered in Deep Focus. And and yeah, uh, it's a pretty cool to see. So sort of fan of Terrence Malick's work, and yeah, it's one of these Lindsey songs that's like a super fast acoustic song. And I think Did You Miss Me is one of my favorites. It's more back to the lovely melodies of that Lindsey does, and at least on the chorus. And yeah, I think it works. And yeah, then I recognized easily the Mick Fleetwood drum beat on Wait for You, and John McVie also on bass. And it's this sort of more anthemic blues song, I guess, in Lindsey's own style, but it's pretty fun, I'd say. And I think Love Runs Deeper rocks a lot. It's the sort of Lindsey's newest version of Go Your Own Way. But you just gotta love the outro guitar solo, and I think Lindsey pretty much always nails his guitar tones, and especially on that solo, it's so cool. And yeah, the ultra fast acoustic guitar picking is here again with Bel Air Rain. I prefer this to Temperature's Time because of the stronger chorus, and the outro is kind of fun with Lindsey keeps singing the sort of, I don't know, bam bams, what he's saying. And yeah, similar vein to like Love Steeper was the Go Your Own Way. I think The Right Place to Fade is kind of the second hand news of this album. And but I don't really care that much because I find it fun, and I love how the guitar solo starts so confidently in the 3 minute mark. And probably my least favorite song is actually the title track. Um, it rocks, but especially the rhythm section. But there's something that isn't hitting me, and I don't really like those laughs that Lindsey makes. Kind of odd to me, and some very nasty guitar though in that song. And Underground is like a prettier little tune. Um, I actually didn't remember that well, but I should have. It's a great one. And that closer treason is pretty powerful with all the overdub harmonies. Yeah, I think it's a very good album. I kind of almost prefer the second half of this album, but yeah, it's a very good album. 4 stars to Gift of Screws.
All right. This is where things get dicey. Fairly confident this is going to be your number one, as I think it's everybody's number one. I just like later Lindsey better. Number four, I have Out of the Cradle. This is definitely his best up to this point. However, I still think it's notably flawed. Lindsey still just sort of as an artist, he's still just going all over the place. And for whatever reason, on the earlier records, like I think that Lindsey Buckingham is a pretty solid songwriter. I didn't really ever get like gripped or find anything that I thought was like outstanding across any of the first three, personally. However, this is the best showcase of his guitar playing up to this point. It's just fantastic. And with his vocals getting a bit deeper here, it's really interesting to see how he works that in there. There are some of his best songs across here, though. I thought Countdown was great, Doing What I Can, and Turn It On. I can't reasonably go above 3.5 for me, but it's closer to 4 than his other works. But everything in these top three are going to be 4 stars for me. I think he has 3 really good records. So number 4, Out of the Cradle, 3.5 stars.
Yeah, I don't. It's probably not the biggest um, difference to our lists, but based off ranking, but yeah, it's definitely higher for me. But my number 4, yeah, is the newest one, Lindsey Buckingham. Um, and actually, this probably is the first album I pre-ordered and really, really loved the singles they released beforehand. and decided to get it, and I wasn't disappointed. I think this is yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of Lindsey because I think this is great, great album, and bunch of songs I just love to listen to, and favorite being I Don't Mind, which was the first single of this album. And I just find it so melo melodically perfect, and um just wanna uh sing to it. And I think what's um like I don't know the exact age that Lindsey was, but I think he's like in his early 70s when he did this album, and to me it doesn't he kind of fooled me. He sounds quite a bit younger than he probably even sounds live, but might be a bit due to that. Obviously, you can probably hide it a bit in the studio, but um, yeah, just on the wrong side is maybe again the I don't know, is it like again the same like Go Your Own Way style of song, but uh, I love the guitar solos, and it's very sing along type of song. And actually, maybe my least favorite songs here are the more busier songs where they added a lot of things, like in maybe Swan Song and Power Down. And I think there's like a more like a very drum machine feel to the Swan Song, which I don't totally care for. But one of my favorite songs comes later, Santa Rosa. I think it's lovely song. I love the verses as maybe about as much as the chorus. Which sometimes I feel like sometimes Lindsey, maybe the chorus is sometimes quite a bit better than verses, but I don't feel it in here. And usually I'm not the biggest fan of maybe ending with the more somber, tender note, but I feel like it works kind of on dancing. Um, Great vocal performance in my opinion, and more of this more breathy type of vocals that he's been doing. And yeah, it's a cool one. And yeah, I don't really have much negatives here. I it's basically just a quick little pop album that he mostly did himself, and playing all the instruments and just some mixing and mastering help. But yeah, it's a actually I have this on 4.5, so definitely fan.
All right, let's keep talking about it. Lindsey Buckingham, my number three. What caught me off guard was just how much better things got whenever Lindsey got older. Here's probably my thing. I think that the first few records, as I was saying before, they're all very scattershot. They're all very kind of all over the place, which some people really like that. It's why some people love, say, the White Album. I don't love the White Album, so I don't love that style of album craft typically. I like when things have a more consistent, solid theme, and I feel like all of Lindsey's records, well, excluding Seeds We Sow, just because the songs aren't as good, typically are my favorites because of that. However, I also think that Lindsey's deeper vocals work incredibly well in his solo career. He's able to utilize his deeper register really well, which is something I was worried about because he sounds like shit on the '03 Fleetwood Mac record, Say You Will. He does not sound good on that record, but he sounds really good across the solo album, so I'm cool with it. Above all else, though, he just puts the total focus on his guitar playing on these last three records, which is uniformly excellent. On top of that, the songwriting, even in 2021, is still really good. Tracks like I Don't Mind, On the Wrong Side, Time, and Power Down are all fantastic. There are some weaker moments on here. I don't love Blue Light, and I think it closes kind of weakly with dancing. But they're still rather well played. The best part about the later period records, though, is that they just have some form of consistency. Something that can't be said about a lot of his earlier records, but if you prefer the more sporadic, the more sort of wild track listings, those are what you should go for. I'm at 4 stars for this record. I think it's really good. Number 3, Lindsey Buckingham.
Yeah. I kind of agree with the um. I feel like the first albums are a bit like Lindsey trying them all, and my number three is Go Insane. I feel like in this one the consistency comes to the it like it's all like this trying this production style of things in the 80s, and it's definitely a big 80s production and lots of things happening, and but yeah, it's a definitely a major 80s production. Overflow attacked Lindsey, and yeah, here we are, insane. And there's no acoustic drums here. Drum, lots of drum machines, like the drum machine. And yeah, this was released after like a Max Mirage album and the short Mirage tour and the end of Lindsey's relationship with Carol, and you can kind of hear the music, and um this is probably a little more closer to the Tango in the Night sounds than Mirage, but um, this just has a lot of songs I love listening to. Like the first three, I just feel like are so much fun and feel like I want to use this sort of big 80s, almost like a pop, I don't know, statement musically and maybe even production wise, but it's extremely catchy, and like most of the maybe less than 5 minute songs and here, and I definitely love the title track um about Stevie Nicks, surprise surprise, and just great bass on it, and there's even a great like acoustic version of Go Insane in one of Fleetwood Mac's compilation albums, and I don't have that compilation album, but I bought it to my mom actually, and I can hear it on her car. And then yeah, Slow Dancing follows basically the track of extremely fun and catchy pop tunes, and especially I think the first three are my favorites on this album, and one of the maybe even one of the reasons I come to this album. But it's not to say I don't like the other stuff. I Must Go is maybe a bit like jarring, maybe, but I still find it kind of cool, and it's like super busy, which can be tough, but there's still plenty of cool elements to it. And I'd say Play in the Rain. Probably the first part is probably my least favorite song. Um, I don't know, does it? I feel like the best musical ideas are in the second half of the song. It's in like the first half is in the first side, and second is in the second side. And I especially like one of those synths that coming on the second side of second half of Play in the Rain. And yeah, Loving Cup is cool, and I guess I disagree a bit with Adrian because I love Bang the Drum. I feel like there's a sort of uplifting feel to this song, like in the chorus when it's Bang the Drum, bang it louder. Uh, I should have named my channel just Bang It Loud, but I didn't. I didn't do it. And it ends with the sort of tribute to Dennis Wilson. And Dennis Wilson had a relationship with Christy McVie for 3 years, and they definitely knew some way each other, and definitely the Beach Boys is a big influence to Lindsey, and you can hear it on his music, and it sort of kind of have this sort of Beach Boys vibe to this song. Maybe with different production, it could have fit maybe on, I don't know, Surf's Up or something. But and it's probably the song that is one of the most that has grown on me, actually. Um, I feel like the ending is kind of trippy when it gets um faster and faster a bit. But yeah, I think it's a great track listing. Yeah, there's some moments I'm slightly like iffy, but I think it's a great album, great 80s album overall. Go Insane, 4.5 stars for me.
All right. As predicted, very different lists so far. Um, let's keep it coming. Number two, Gift of Screws, meaning your least favorite is my favorite. So, another surprise for me was just how strong Lindsey's aughts work is. While you still have many of his eccentricities, they're mostly reined back and grounded into this more acoustic style. They complement his deeper and more mature writing style really greatly. As well, you get to hear him going off more on guitar, which often, as I mentioned before, he holds himself back, but on this, as well as Under the Skin, he's just wailing over and over. I love it. The first three songs on here and Bel Air Rain were my favorites, while the only track I'm not super crazy about was the more bluesy Wait For You. All in all, though, it's a pretty interesting, very well crafted release. I'm at 4 stars for Gift of Screws. So, funny how this whole thing worked out. Also a bit predictable.
Um, yeah, I feel like in that album, I'm not sure. Do I feel it's as cohesive as maybe your number one and your number three, but sort of slightly all over the place in styles, but it's a cool one. Um, yeah, my number two is Law and Order, and it's definitely an album that has grown on me. I actually listen quite often. Um, Maybe I didn't like it as much when I first heard it. Um, because it's sort of this like do it all album, and yeah, it follows Tusk and a few Fleetwood Mac members decided to do some solo albums, um, including Lindsey, and this sort of sort of Lindsey's, I don't know, can you say it's a sequel to Tusk, but kind of has a similar vein to his songwriting on that album, and maybe even some of the performances. And it's kind of strange, yet poppy, and kind of quirky, but yet very melodic, and to me feel good even. Um, and you could probably say that same to quite a few of his albums. And here's helping Lindsey is the Fleetwood Mac producer Richard Dashut. I don't know how to say his last name, but let's go with that. And there's a few outside people helping Lindsey, two Mac members, his girlfriend, and George Hawkins plays bass in Trouble. And well, obviously there's more people for the production side of things, but those are like the personal playing. But yeah, speaking of Trouble, it features the biggest solo single of his, which is Trouble, and it was a top 10 hit in the Hot 100, and it topped the Australian singles charts, and it's kind of a big way to start your solo career even. I feel like Stevie Nicks was probably dominating the more because her album sold quite well, and this definitely didn't. And yeah, I love the guitar playing in Trouble, such a cool guitar moments, and it's maybe the most straightforward song here. And it's definitely a great melody to it. And next single was It Was I. It was a commercial disappointment and didn't do very much any impact overall, but sort of this cover of a late 50s tune by Skip and Flip. It was some like I don't really know Skip and Flip, but I just read it's sort of like this US pop duo of the late 50s. And yeah, I love this song. I actually didn't realize it was a cover until basically when I decided to listen to this again, and just but yeah, it doesn't make any difference to me is it a cover or not. But I also like the drums on this. They just feel like a perfectly sloppy in some ways. This song, it's kind of it's a like a cute little pop tune. And there's some crazy guitar playing in tunes like Vana, I don't know, Mary Lee Jones, Jenny Stew. Those are all kind of quirky rockers, and I didn't even name all of them. And I also love the Love From Here, Love From There. It has this sort of older TV theme feel to it, and it's like it's kind of funny. And yeah, there's this sort of certain leftover um, demo vibe to this album. It kind of feels um, unfinished, but it feels kind of planned that way still. And I have this at 4.5. I don't maybe it doesn't get to the extra step to 5 because it's sort of this do it all, and I'm not sure is everything a sort of a victory dance here, but there's a uh certain fascinating cohesion even when it's clearly not. I don't know. It's a strange one. But yeah, it's a great album. 4.5. And my number two.
Alrighty. Well, we all could have probably seen this one coming, but oh well. My number one, Under the Skin. Probably my biggest surprise in doing the catalog. Lindsey pretty much fully strips back. This album's built around rather simple and lovely acoustic parts. His deeper voice here sounds great. The production is lovely, and above all else, he's just not jumping around every which way. This album has a very defined and recognizable sound. And even more than that, the songs are still great. Title track, Castaway Dreams, and Somebody's Gotta Change Your Mind being my favorites. It really just took me back. I was struggling a bit with the earlier catalog, not because it was bad per se, but just because he's such an interesting artist because he's almost like Todd Rundgren-esque and how he's so great at creating pop music, yet oftentimes tries to like go against that within his solo career and stuff. Well, there's always an undercurrent of strong melodies and solid pop craft to it. You could always tell his musical inspirations were in other places, so it sort of makes his catalog very bizarre in that, right? However, this one, I think, at its core, these are just well-crafted songs with strong melodies with beautiful acoustic guitar playing. So my favorite record, gonna be Under the Skin, still 4 stars, really good.
Yeah, this is not the first time this has happened. And it's like my bottom is your number one. Happened at least in Talking Heads. But
Oh, yeah,
but
it's trying to think, but
yeah. I'm not sure has it happened
you were
anywhere else, but
pretty close with Eurythmics, but I don't think it happened past that point.
yeah, 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 that was pretty close. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, my number one is Out of the Cradle from the early 90s, 92. And yeah, I just I kind of randomly bought this album. I found it in a pretty cheap price, and I guess I knew the I guess I've already done my Fleetwood Mac dive then, and I decided to pick this album up, and yeah, it was pretty much love at first sight sort of thing, and I pretty much like everything this album has, and my probably top favorites are the single Countdown. I definitely love the guitar tone of it. Um, um, kind of sub. I don't know what to about the guitar tone. I'm not sure how to. Kind of reminds me of maybe something you would hear in maybe even like 60s or 50s. There's maybe even some of that Symphony of the Devil guitar solo sound to it, and yeah, definitely love everything about Countdown. Um, and yeah, he does the Kingston Trio cover on My Sorrow. It's more somber, and it's a beautiful one, and just like this, lots of great, at least musically feel good ones like Soul Drifter and You Do or You Don't, and Surrender the Rain, Do What I Can, and so on. And I love how this ends with just like this beautiful guitar instrumental, This Nearly Was Mine, and then it goes right into the closure, Say We'll Meet Again, which is one of my favorite Lindsey songs, and so lovely. And um, I feel like uh, I feel like you can say lovely to a lot of his melodies that Lindsey have created in Fleetwood Mac or in his solo career. And yeah, there's also some really crazy solos, like in This Is the Time, the outro solo to that. It's sort of mind-boggling maybe. And yeah, he just loves to do it, even like in Do What I Can and Turn It On. Yeah, I just think it's the um best track listing, and um really maybe that I think the CD that I have sounds very good, and yeah, there's so I'm kind of sad it flops, but maybe it was released too late, and he kind of worked like I think he worked like three 3 or 4 years with this album. Maybe not all the time, obviously, but a lot of time has used on this album, and sadly it didn't get bought. But yeah, it's a 5-star album for me. Out of the Cradle,
All
number
right.
one.
It's a pretty decent record. It's about what I was expecting there. Nothing wrong with that. It seems to be generally revered as his best record, so it is what it is. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Lindsey Buckingham. If I may
Mm.
ask, how would Out of the Cradle compare to the classic five Fleetwood Mac records for you?
Um, well, Rumors is my number one. Uh, would be like it's maybe a top 5 album overall for me. So it's a fight between Tusk and Out of the Cradle. Maybe even Out of the Cradle would be like number 2 of the lineup.
Interesting. Interesting. Nothing wrong with that. That's how you feel. But yeah, pretty much the main takeaway from this for me is his guitar playing. Like I always liked him a lot in Fleetwood Mac, and I knew that he was great. But really, just listening to these records, you really just see what he doesn't bring out within Mac. But you almost wish he would more because he has that amazing part during the chain. But he's like that's really like the main point
Mm.
in which he ever really shows off. So
Oh, in
it's pretty
Fleetwood
cool.
Mac.
Well, and Fleetwood Mac, yes.
Yeah. Well, I would maybe add like I'm so afraid and maybe some I think he more does it in the live context,
Mhm.
but
More than
and
likely.
maybe some like songs in there are some like maybe a little shorter solos like in Mirage and Tango in the Night.
Mhm.
But
Well,
yeah, more in his solo career.
got you. Well, alrighty. That being said, that was Lindsey Buckingham. Eventually, I'll do somebody else from Fleetwood Mac, maybe. I don't know. We'll get there. With that being said, I really
Yeah.
hope you enjoyed this and you had a good time. Be sure to check out Taavi's channels and you have a good one.